Greetings, Bembecito back again. And today I'm going to make a video on a question that has come very often to me uh, in these past few days involving what is Dominican Voodoo, or known as 21 divisions. Um, and this question is, what is the difference between people that are initiated in the 21 divisions and people that are not? People that are just believers of the 21 divisions, um, but have no initiation. Okay, so we have to remember this is a cultural manifestation. So in the Dominican Republic, you're going to have a lot of believers in the tradition, followers of the tradition, because this is a tradition, and it's a folk tradition. Okay, it's a tradition, a spirituality. In Dominican Republic, they call these things uh, religiosidad folclórica, or basically it's a spirituality that the people of anybody follows. It's a it's a way of living. It's a way of life. Okay, so you're going to have a lot of people that are believers in this tradition. Okay, and they are not necessarily initiated in anything. They are just plainly believers of this tradition. Okay, and you can go to a lot of people's houses in the Dominican Republic and Haiti, um, and they will have altars, small altars in their house with maybe pictures or statues of saints, or certain objects that are of the Loa, of the Misterios. And so, and this doesn't mean that they are initiates of the traditions or the lineages. They're not, they don't have anything. They are just plain believers. And culturally, there's going to be a lot of people that even have big altars. They're going to have big altars in their house. There's even going to be people that receive people in at their altars or at their house, um, and consult. They give readings because they're people that have this gift, or they've developed this gift to read um, people. They have a they're very in tuned spiritually to be able to give readings. Okay, there's many people that even have a gift of and I call these gifts, but they're basically things. They're called gifts because obviously some people have more facility to be able to function and do these things uh, without much development. Okay, it comes natural to them. So these gifts, there's people that are curanderos, that they might be a curandero. A curandero is somebody that heals or prepares a special medicine for different kind of health problems with natural herbs and stuff. So you're gonna have people that are do feasts for the Loa, or for the for a specific misterio at a certain date, maybe yearly, because they have a promise with that misterio. You know, um, they have a promise and a compromiso. A compromiso is like an agreement, um, some kind of almost like a contract with that misterio, with that Loa, and they celebrate a feast, and yearly, maybe for that misterio, maybe for San Miguel, for Belial, maybe for Anaisa, maybe for whatever Loa they're devoted to. And again, so you have people that are giving readings, that may do big feasts for the Loa, that can perform certain type of cures for, different kinds of health issues with natural herbs and remedies. Uh, different stuff, different manifestations. And this is all cultural in the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And, again, because this is a culture, it's a way of life for people in the Dominican Republic and in Haiti. It's, this is what we live every day. So again, you're going to have people that are not initiated. Sometimes there's people that inherit these altars from somebody else in the family, and then they take up the responsibilities of the altar. They take up also responsibilities of the feasts that they do for that were done for the Loa. Somebody that used to do a feast every year, now this person is either too old to perform this task, or and they before they die, or even after death, they leave it to somebody else, because it can come in a dream. Oh, my aunt or my uncle or my mom or dad, whoever it was, grandma, grandpa, uh, I had a dream that they said that I have to keep doing this feast for Belia Belcan, for example, and I have to do it yearly, like they were doing it. And sometimes in life, before the person dies, when they're old, or they tell a certain person, listen, you're the one that has to do it. You are in charge now of this. And again, these are people that are not initiated into anything. This is just a culture for them, a way of life, and it's a belief, it's a faith, you know. And again, you can have an altar. These people have these altars, and they're believers. Now, the initiates, people that have get done about these, so people that go through some sort of initiation, depending on the branch of voodoo they follow, be it in the Dominican Republic or in Haiti. Okay, what is the difference? The difference is that when you initiate, you're supposed to gain an understanding, first of all, you get a deeper connection, because ceremonies are performed to your body to connect you, in a deeper sense to the law. Also, you gain insight on, conocimiento. Uh, it's like a, knowledge, mystical knowledge on the law, on the tradition. You get that more in-depth knowledge of those misterios, those lois. You get knowledge of the tradition. You get knowledge of ceremonies. You get knowledge of the herbs that we use to do certain things, initiations, preparations, etc. You get more understanding and knowledge on how to serve the loa, what they like, what they don't, the foods they like, when do you have to serve them. Also, sacrifice, because that's another thing. Maybe people that are not initiated don't perform. Some do, but most people that are just believers and faithful do not perform uh, animal sacrifices themselves. They can have a priest come and perform a sacrifice, or an initiate, or somebody that's capable of doing a sacrifice for a feast. And there are times that certain people are very in tune naturally with the law, to where they can perform this, uh, you know, maybe themselves, obviously with help of other people, but it's very rare. Mostly, it's done by a person that is more knowledgeable, because these sacrifices have to be done in certain ways that are in line with the law. Uh, special preparations, etc., etc. So when you are initiated, you are supposed to gain all this knowledge. You're supposed to become an expert of the misterios, of the Lua, of the 21 divisions. And when I say the 21 divisions, I mean the pantheon, because in reality that's what the name implies. It's the pantheon of voodoo. Um, so you have to become an expert with most of what the pantheon is. Um, so you gain all this. How do you gain this? It's not magically, and that's another misconception people have. Many people think that the the knowledge comes magically into your head. I'm not going to deny that the law, the spiritual connection that you have with your ancestors that followed this tradition, if they have followed this tradition, and obviously the law provide certain info. Yes, they do. The misterios provide info, but that info is limited, obviously. Then there is knowledge that is passed down, and who's passes it down is obviously a godparent, your initiator, be it your papaboko, ungan, mambo, etc., whoever initiates you. And that's another thing. Only a person that has been initiated can initiate somebody else. It can't, you can't get a baptism, to call it that way, which is this is what it's called, or let's just say an initiation from somebody that is just a plain believer that has never gotten an initiation themselves. You cannot get that from somebody that is just a faithful believer. It's like saying, uh, I'm going to become a Catholic priest, but the person that is going to initiate me is the person that's going to initiate me is a person that goes to church, a plain believer. Not I'm not going to go to the whatever you go, some kind of academy or whatever it is that you go to become a Catholic priest. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to have a person that goes to church every Sunday, a plain believer, initiate me as a Catholic priest. That's obviously not going to happen. It's not like that. You have to go to an academy of priests, to, some kind of, it's a big process, you know what I mean? So this is the same thing in these traditions, be it voodoo, be it Orisha, Afro-Cuban, or traditional Isheshe, Ifa, Candomblé, every tradition that, from Africa, and even non-African traditions, it's basically kind of the same thing. You're not going to get an initiation from somebody that is just a faithful believer. Initiations come in line from one person to another, and it goes down a lineage. So you cannot receive an initiation in voodoo from somebody that is just a believer. Okay. Uh, also, also, the person has to be capable. Just because you have an initiation, or a person has an initiation in voodoo, it doesn't give them the automatic license to initiate somebody else. First of all, like I've stressed in all of my videos, if you initiate, you have to go through a time of apprenticeship. And then obviously, when your elder initiator, your mama or papa, sees that you're capable to initiate, they will give you that license. So you have to make sure uh, the person that's initiating you is first of all initiated themselves and has a lineage, and you have to make sure they're capable of doing this. That they've initiated other people, see how they turned out, etc., etc. So, how do you, again, going back, how do you get this special knowledge of how to become an expert uh, practitioner, priest in the voodoo tradition? Well, obviously, your elder is the one that teaches you all of this knowledge, and you have to go under this person that initiates you, and that person may then also send you to other people to be an apprentice. This is how you learn. So the knowledge that the Loa place in your head, let's say spiritually, to call it like that, in dreams, visions, etc., etc. And this is one thing, but most of the knowledge is obviously going to come from your elder on how to become an expert priest in the tradition. What is the difference between these priests and a faithful, let's say, a believer? The believer is very limited. The believer can do many things for themselves, and sometimes, if they have that spiritual capacity, they can do things for others. But again, that becomes very limited uh, because they don't have that base or that expertise, that knowledge, that sacred knowledge that is only given through priesthood. Also, for the most part, the faithful or the believer servant is really just uh, serving or for themselves. They're believing for themselves, for their family, for their household, and they're taking care of their spiritual duties for them. That's it's like anybody, even in the Catholic religion. You can go to any uh, Catholic person, be them Latino, be them you know European, anybody. You can go to their houses and they might have statues of saints, an altar. It's the same thing in voodoo. Doesn't mean that they have a special capacity. They just have that altar for themselves, for their household. It's the same thing in the Hindu religion. You go to Hindu households, and they have an altar. They might have even a whole room for an altar, like a small temple within the house. And this is the same thing in voodoo in Dominican Republic. People even have like outer houses just for that, and they're not initiated. They're not priests of voodoo. This is just for them because they're believers. This is the culture. This is our culture in the Dominican Republic and Haiti. So and again, in the Hindu households you go, they have one. That's their culture. They have a room dedicated or small space, depending on what they have, for the gods of the Hindu religion. And they, every certain days or every day, they might perform certain little rituals. They call some of those little things puja or something, for those of you that study a little bit more about that. And they do certain offerings. They serve. It's the same thing. But they are not gurus or priests or whatever. I don't know what they're called in the Hindu tradition. They're just doing it for their household. When they have big ceremonies or days that they celebrate, they hire a person that is a priest or whatever they call them in the Hindu tradition. They come in and perform the ceremony. Okay, a big offering or cleansing or some kind of feeding, whatever they do. And it's the same thing again within this tradition of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, the Voodoo tradition. Um, you can have a person come in and do certain things. Sometimes it's, when they do a yearly feast, they do it themselves because it's something simple that they do. They even hire, drummers, the paleros, or whatever. They give food out. It's a whole thing. But it doesn't mean they're priests. They're just believers. Okay, and if they themselves don't mount the loa, uh, they hire somebody, a caballo, to come and mount the loa, etc., etc. So that's the difference within an initiate and a non-initiate. Okay, or a simple servant or a faithful servant, believer of the 21 divisions of the loa, misterios, whatever you want to call them, and a person that is initiated in the tradition. So the person that has the initiation also has more duties or responsibility, because when you're initiated, then you have the responsibility to be serving these loa more continuously on a more, it could be it depends on the person. It could be every day, every day. Some people are every other day, or some people. Everybody has their routine. You know, everybody has their own book on how they follow things. Okay, every priest has his own book. Every house has their own book. Whatever. But it's a more constant uh, approach, or you know, it's a more constant service. It's you have to do way more. You have to feed the loa way more. You have to give them animal sacrifice yearly or several times a year. You have the ability to perform rites for other people. Um, so there's more responsibility when one is an initiate, and obviously you take that role up as a person that wants to initiate and follow this tradition as a priest. You have to serve the community. Okay, so how do you know if you are meant to become a priest? Well, this is obviously a calling, like anything else, which is obviously confirmed with a reading. Okay, with readings, we can confirm uh, if you are meant for this path, because you can go for a general reading, which is, I'm having problems in my job, I'm having problems in my love life. That's a general reading for me, or for anybody that does readings. Now, readings for the Loa should be performed by a priest, not your regular believer that may do readings, because those people, they mostly just deal with certain things that are very day to day. Okay. Oh, I went to get a reading because I had a problem in my job with somebody. Okay, let me go to Juanita's house, and she can read me the coffee cup, or a candle, or a glass of water, whatever the case is. Okay, many ways to perform readings. Everybody has their style, and within the 21 divisions voodoo. So the cards, it could be the cards. Some people even mount the loa, like I've said before. This is a thing, normal thing. They mount the loa to read people. But when it comes to somebody that is not a believer, that is a believer, sorry, a non-initiate, can direct somebody and say, listen, you have a calling, but they themselves can't do anything else about that. They have to send you to somebody that is a priest, an initiated person. Okay, so if this is your calling, you're going to go to an initiated priest. They're going to tell you if this is the path, this is a path that you should take, what levels you're supposed to get up to, or if you're supposed to be a priest. you know and then obviously there's the readings, like I've said, that determine also which loa are with you, etc., etc. So you can begin to serve correctly if you haven't been already, because again, not everybody in the Dominican Republic, at least, people usually don't get readings to know what loi are with them. They kind of are, since they're living in the culture, there's many other ways, like I've explained before, to find this out. Or if they're spiritually in tune, they might already kind of know. So they set up their altars, they do what they got to do, etc., etc. But now, when it's somebody that is not living within the culture or has not much knowledge of this, because there in Dominican Republic there are people that, just in Haiti, everywhere, there's people that don't follow this also, so they won't have any knowledge of it. Okay, so they might need the reading to see what law are with them, so then they can set up their small personal altar and do what they got to do from there. Now, if they got to, take up the priesthood at certain points, that's up to the reading, up to the law, the reading, and obviously them, because you have to be decided on that. This is not something that is forced also. There's many people that are believers that are called to be priests in the tradition, or baptized, let's say. But since they know they cannot keep up with those demands, or that type of, they don't want that. They just want to be simple servants for themselves, for their family, and do what they got to do. So it also depends on the person, um, and what they feel inside them. What's calling them? How strong is it calling you? Okay, if it's calling you strongly, you just have to look into it with a reading. Okay, so these are the differences. Uh, I'm not going to drag this video out too long, but this is a short explanation on differences between people that are simple servants or faithful believers and the priesthood. Okay. Again, my music. Follow my music on all the major platforms. Bembecito. My music of Voodoo, Arisha, all the stuff. It's on all major platforms: Spotify, iTunes, here on YouTube. Please hit me up if you have any questions on Facebook, or here on YouTube, for readings. If you feel the call, hit me up for a reading. We can take care of you and see what's going on. Peace, love, and blessings. I will.